We have, I got this document. I realized when I set up this whiteboard, you can't really see it, obviously. And so these are going to be my notes. I have this document for recruiting. And then I have this one. And then I have this one for onboarding. And so I'm going to go ahead and drop the PDF document to these notes since they're kind of hard to see. I may use the whiteboard a little bit during the training. If you're not familiar with Sales Recruiting University, we're an 80+ person sales recruiting service and coaching company. We recruit over 1,000 commission-based sales reps every single month for small businesses and all sorts of different industries all over the country. And I'm going to talk through some recruiting training with you guys today in onboarding training. I've been doing this for over a decade. Exactly what I'm going to go through today is what it takes to, it's never easy to build an amazing team, but what I'm going to go through today is the easiest way to scale up a commission-based sales team from a process perspective. And I'm going to talk about some perspective things that you guys need to understand about recruiting, about onboarding, and then I'm going to talk about like the process of getting these things actually done, right? So like the recruiting process is ads, presentation, screening, scheduling, closing, and the one-on-one. I'm going to talk about the details of the process, but I'm also going to kind of set the stage with some things that you need to understand. And I'm going to do that with both recruiting and the onboarding side. We only have less than 50 minutes. I'm not sure how many of you will be able to stay longer than the hour, but I'm going to try to condense as much as I can into the hour and get through both of these topics. If I don't, then we'll go longer and we can finish up with some Q&A as well. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive in. So let's first talk about recruiting. So again, we're going to talk about some general notes and then we're going to talk about the actual process. And I'll drop this document to you guys at the end of the training. So that'll come up in a pop-up in this webinar software platform. Okay, so let's get into it. Recruiting. So the first thing, everybody's experienced in a different way, right? We have clients, most of the businesses that we serve are, 9 out of 10 of them, they're small businesses. They have less than 10 sales reps and the other 10% have 10 plus sales reps and they have full-time sales leadership and they're just coming to our service to get higher volumes of quality reps into their organization. But most of the businesses that we help, they don't have much going on in terms of a commission-based sales team yet. And they're just in the initial phases of scaling up their commission-based sales team. So you may not know your retention numbers when I go through some of the training today if you don't have enough experience in building your sales team inside of your business, but this should still be helpful. The first thing that you need to understand though, if you haven't recruited before, especially when it comes to building a commission-based sales team, which is what we're talking about. We're talking about how to recruit and onboard a commission-based sales team or commission-based sales reps. One of the things that's really important to understand, and this really goes along with any type of recruiting, even if it's like an employee job or a salary type of sales opportunity or like a regular W-2 role. It even applies in opportunities like that, but even more so when you're building a commission-based sales team, the volume of people coming through your recruiting process is incredibly important. And so just to kind of set the stage with really what's required from a time investment into recruiting, you need about 100 applications into your recruiting process to get to the point where you actually onboard one sales rep into onboarding, right? So if I want to recruit 8 sales reps in the next 30 days, then on average, I'm going to need 800 applications coming through our recruiting process to onboard eight reps, right? So that's pretty straightforward. But from a numbers perspective, because candidate lead volume in the sales recruiting process is required, it's important for you to understand that 100 applications coming into your recruiting process, well, you need to screen through 95 of those, right? So it's a good amount of work. We're going to talk about the easiest way to do that. You need to screen through 95 of those to get it down to the 5, best people that are also interested about your opportunity before you kind of do your one-on-one interviews and invest a lot of time with the people. And out of the 5 people, you'll on average close 1. So to recap quickly, if you want to get 1 rep into onboarding, you need to understand that technically you need 100 applications. You need to screen out 95 of them on average. That'll result into 5 people that are highly interested and most likely a fit for your opportunity. You meet one-on-one with them. You close 1, maybe 2 of them if you're good at the closing process. But from the numbers perspective at the top of the recruiting funnel, that's kind of what's required. Okay, so I want to set the stage with that because I want to talk about retention rates as well. Because if you're experienced in recruiting and specifically building a commission-based sales team, you already understand this. But the reality is it's never recruit 1 sales rep and keeps it that 1 sales rep and everything works out perfectly, right? There's always going to be a volume aspect of recruiting. And the amount of volume that needs to come on board the organization to get to the point where you actually retain reps resulting into sales production, that's going to highly depend on your ability to onboard, train, and lead people, as well as the length of your sales cycle. So as an example, if my sales cycle was 1 week versus maybe a sales cycle that's 90 days, and both of them are all commission, well, objectively, if a rep comes in and they have a 7-day sales cycle versus a 90-day sales cycle, in the 7-day sales cycle, they're going to most likely have a lot better success because they don't have to wait 90 days to close a deal and start making money. And so there's a lot of kind of nuances in terms of retention, but it's important that you understand that it is a volume game, even if you have a pretty solid opportunity, right? And so what are your retention rates? Okay. Most likely, if you're building a commission-based sales team, your retention rates are going to be 20, 25%. If you have a really solid organization, 33%. And if you have an amazing opportunity and all your processes are fleshed out, and you have things like most of our clients don't have, like, training pay, lead opportunities, and these kind of things, maybe your retention rates will be up to 50%. Okay. And so the reason that we need to start there is because you need to kind of be able to paint a picture of the amount of reps that you're going to need to bring on board to get to the point where you retain 1 rep that scales up into quota. That's why I'm going through these numbers before we get to the recruiting process, okay? And so candidate lead volume required, right? 100 applications down to 1 hire in onboarding, but you need to take into consideration your retention rate. So as an example, if our retention rates are 25%, well, what that means is I need to recruit 4 reps. I need to cycle 4 reps into onboarding to get to the point where I actually retain 1 rep that scales up into quota or better, okay? And the reason that you need to understand that is because if I need to recruit 4 reps to get 1 rep into onboarding, so that my time investment into the recruiting process was worth it because I want the retain rep and sales production, well, if it takes 10 to 15 hours of work to go through 100 applications, which is a note I forgot to miss, which is a note I missed. If it takes 10 to 15 hours of work to screen through 100 people to get down to 1 recruit, and I need to recruit 4 reps just to get 1 to stick because I have a 25% retention rate, well, just from a recruiting perspective alone, I need to invest at least 40 hours into the recruiting process to get 4 reps into onboarding, assuming a 25% retention rate to get 1 to stick. Okay, so to recap, 100 applications for one recruit into onboarding, but not everybody sticks. You have a specific retention rate. That's 20, 25%, 33%, maybe 50% if you have an amazing opportunity. If it's 25% in the example I just gave, that means we need 4 recruits. Well, if it takes 10 to 15 hours of recruiting work, not even including the onboarding work, to get 1 rep into onboarding, well, times 4, that's 40 to 60 hours of recruiting work that I need to invest just to get the bodies in the door so that I retain the 1 rep. Now, obviously that time investment was worth it, but it is a big time investment. And if you guys have been going through struggles in recruiting, it's typically from a few places, right? Most companies don't have the process, but even from their perspective, one of the biggest things is they don't have the time, right? They don't have the time to invest. If their retention rates are 25% and they're like, man, I freaking need 1 recruit, they don't have the time to invest into the recruiting process correctly, which would be 40 to 60 hours to get 4 reps into onboarding and 1 retain. Well, if those are my retention rates and I want to recruit 5 reps, right? I need to retain 5 reps that scale up into quota and my retention rates are 25%. Well, I need to recruit 20 reps, right? Well, 20 reps times 10 to 15 hours, that's 200 to 300 hours of recruiting work to recruit 20 reps so that I get to the point where I retain 5 of them. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense. I'm going quick. The reason I explain that is because most likely, if you're looking to scale up a commission-based sales team, one of your biggest issues right now is you're just not simply making it a priority, a focus, a full-time investment within your business. Okay. And again, this time investment doesn't even include the onboarding process. Recruiting producers, your salespeople, if you guys are serious about building a commission-based sales team, it needs to be a full-time investment, right? Think about it. Obviously the product that you sell, the experience that you give to your clients and all these things is incredibly important. But if you look at building a long-term sustainable business, what is actually the most important thing? It's the revenue. It's the cash flow of the business because the cash flow, the revenue of the business is what actually allows you to build the business that you want and invest into making it better so you can build a long-term organization, okay? So one of the issues that we see with small businesses, and this is almost every client that comes into our service, is not only did they didn't have the process in place, and they didn't know how to kind of like operate the recruiting process, but they really didn't have the time. And because they didn't have the time, they were actually never able to recruit the reps into their organization, which means they've been spinning their wheels forever in terms of building their sales team, okay? And so it needs to be a full-time investment if you guys are serious about recruiting and building a commission-based sales team. And this is even if you want just a 2, 3, 4, 5 sales rep team, okay? I'll tell you guys about it later, but when companies plug into our service, what's cool is we take away 90% of the recruiting work for them. So they just get to show up to one-on-one interviews and close. And by the way, I'm going to talk about that too. We just improved our service and we're rolling it out to a few clients. But when companies plug into our service, they immediately adopt us and we are their full-time recruiting department, okay? And if it's not a full-time focus, then you're never going to get the people and you're going to be spinning your wheels as a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a sales leader. You need the people like us to join your sales team to produce so money comes in and you can build the organization that you want. That should make sense, right? And so one of the big issues we see is clients don't understand actually the volume that's required and the time investment that's required to build the sales team, let alone a commission-based sales team, which volume is even more required. And they don't have the time or the process, so they don't invest the time into the process that doesn't exist, and therefore they don't get the right reps that they need, right? Okay, so that should be pretty clear. Okay, so that's just to kind of set the stage on the volume piece. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the topic of candidate quality, okay? This is also very important for your expectations because the nature of your opportunity and your company brand actually determines the quality of candidate that you can hire. And I'll bring that full circle here in a second, okay? Well, actually, I'll go through an example. So let's take opportunity A and opportunity B, okay? Let's say that, I have we don't help only direct to consumer, business to consumer, B2B companies. We help all sorts of different industries and companies and organizations, long sales cycle, short sales cycle. It doesn't really matter to us. So when I use examples, these are not the only type of companies that we serve, but as an example, let's say it's a B2B sales opportunity. And let's say B2B sales opportunity A, you onboard, you get 90 days of training pay, whatever, $500 a week for the first 90 days or first 12 weeks, which is $6,000 of training pay over 90 days. And on top of that, the company is providing preset lead opportunities on the B2B sales reps calendar, which means the lead generation aspect of the sales role is taken care of for them. Also meaning that it's easier to ramp up from an income perspective because they're producing more quickly in that sales position. Okay, so opportunity B, training pay 90 days, lead opportunities given to them by the company. By the way, when I give this example, most of the type of clients that we serve, they don't have these things. They don't have the cash investment or the cash available to invest into training pay and marketing and these kind of things. And if they do, recruiting is just easier for them. But the opportunity B is typically the type of client that we serve, which at face value, just to be honest, is kind of like the more unattractive type of opportunities, commission-based opportunities in the marketplace, which can be resolved through the right recruiting process. And that'll make sense here too soon. And again, I know I'm going really quickly. I'm going to try to get through a lot of information. And hopefully, even though I'm going quick, you guys pick up 2 to 3 nuggets in this training. And again, I'll drop this document. But opportunity A, right? That's what we were doing. B2B, 90 days of training pay, lead opportunities. If I'm a candidate looking at that opportunity, there's a little bit more security in the ramp up aspect of the sales role. And then also there's lead opportunities provided by the company, which means I'm most likely going to start closing deals quickly and making money quickly. And therefore, from a financial security perspective, that opportunity looks pretty decent. Well, let's compare that to opportunity B. Maybe opportunity B is another B2B company in the same industry, very similar sales cycle, but in that opportunity, there's no training pay, there's no lead opportunities provided by the company, and it's most likely going to take 60 to 90 days to start making decent money for the sales rep, okay? These realities exist in the marketplace. There are differences in opportunities, right? All of you have different sales opportunities. Not all of them are created equal. Some are sexier than others. That is just the reality of it, of the marketplace. And the candidates coming through your recruiting process, they understand this. And you need to understand this as well. Your brand, your online brand, your customer-facing brand, and your employer-facing brand, which most of the clients we serve at the beginning don't have these kind of things because they're small businesses, that, along with the quality of your opportunity, actually dictates the quality of recruit that you can bring on board. As an example, let's say that, I've been used to making a certain amount of income over the last 5 years. Let's say that's hypothetically bare minimum 20K per month. Okay. And all of a sudden I'm looking for a new opportunity and I would consider myself a top 10% candidate. Well, what opportunity out of the two examples do you think I'm going to pick? An opportunity B, A, and B that I went through? Well, obviously, including me and probably all of you, you're going to choose opportunity A. Why? Because you got to pay your bills. There's more financial security. The company's investing into the opportunity more. And hopefully this is making sense. I'm going to move on. But my point is the nature of your opportunity and your actual online brand determines the candidate quality that you can bring on board. Now, with that said, that's not the main point here. I want you to look at that and go, okay, well, maybe, because what happens for small business owners, to backtrack a little bit, what happens is they go, man, all I need is some freaking people to come in and work hard and make money, and then our company would grow, right? And that's kind of how they think about it, right? The small business owner, the entrepreneur, they're typically a salesperson in their past. They're a hustler. They've had sales jobs in the past. They were a top 10% producer. They started their business. They sell well. Maybe they don't have much of a sales team yet. And they're like, I just need people like me to come in and produce and freaking make money and bring in revenue to the company. Okay. Well, the problem is a lot of the cases, the brand and the nature of the opportunity is not as attractive as maybe you think it is. And therefore, the most quality people in the marketplace are maybe not going to want to work with you. Okay. And so the reason I explain all that is because I want to set the tone for this 10-30-60 rule, because this 10-30-60 rule, it kind of illustrates, kind of layers of candidate quality in the marketplace. And so you have the top 10%, you have the middle 30%, which I call the average Joes, and then you have the bottom 60% of candidates. Now, the bottom 60% of candidates are people that we want to cycle out of the recruiting process before they get onboarded, although the recruiting process will never be perfect, and you will have the bottom 60%ers cycle out of the sales program in the first 1 to 4 weeks. That's part of the game, okay? Now, I'm going to write this up here, 10-30-60 rule, okay? 10-30-60 rule, okay? So the 60, okay, that I just went through, these are the people that we want to cycle out of the recruiting process, right? The better that we get at recruiting, the better that we cycle these 60%ers out. And therefore, we're not wasting time with them in our new hire onboarding processes. And again, by the end of the training, you're going to understand how to what you need to do to automate everything informationally around your new hire training, which is going to be huge. I would say it's equally or even more important than the recruiting side. But you have the bottom 60%, right? 10-30-60 rule. This totals 100. You got the top 10% of producers. You have the middle 30%, which I call the average Joes. And then you have the bottom 60%. Primarily, these are people, again, cycled out of the recruiting process, and sometimes in the first 1 to 4 weeks of onboarding into your sales program. Okay. Now, the top 10%ers, right? If you guys are all, I know it's not everybody. Maybe there's some admins here that the owner had you jump on, or maybe there's some recruiters or whatever. But most of you are probably business owners, entrepreneurs, and or sales managers, right? And so most of us on this this webinar, we're in this group. Okay, we're in the top 10%ers. Okay. We're in the top 10%ers, but the problem is there's not an infinite amount of these kind of people, okay? There's not an infinite amount, okay? And also the top 10% producers, they know their value, and therefore, even if they're looking for a new opportunity in the marketplace, they're demanding the highest quality opportunities in the marketplace because they know what they actually deserve based on what they've done in the past and their skill sets, okay? Just like that opportunity A and that opportunity B example. Now, you may have a top 10% opportunity, by the way. And if you do, then recruiting top 10%ers is going to be easier for you. But regardless if you have the best freaking opportunity on planet Earth, or if your opportunity sucks, okay, which is okay too, you can improve it over time. Recruiting top 10%ers consistently over and over and over and over again, at least from our experience, and I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've worked with over 1,500 companies. This is my third company, Sales Recruiting University. We've recruited over 75,000 sales reps since we've been in existence over 6 years. This is all I've been doing, right? And so predictably finding 10% sales reps over and over and over again, especially for the company with the commission-based sale opportunity that it maybe is not that attractive yet. It's just not really easy. It's really difficult. And I would say it's really not doable, right? Once you get good at the volume aspect of recruiting, and you're good at selling your opportunity, you can get people that are top 10 percenters to say yes because you've sold the vision of your opportunity so well. The culture, the industry, the company story, the plans for growth in the future, the sales model, the career path, all of those things you can actually sell well in the recruiting process and get some top 10 percenters, but it's not going to be something that's predictable. Okay. Now, when we look at the small businesses that we serve and kind of our niche is usually helping, although some of our clients have amazing commission-based sales opportunities, most of the companies that we help, they're small businesses and they don't have the sexiest opportunities yet. Maybe it's 1099, door-to-door, solar, roofing, whatever, and reps are needing to self-generate and close their own deals. There's no training pay, or maybe it's remote B2B working from home and reps are required to self-generate all their own leads and set their own appointments and close their own deals. Or, maybe it's a decentralized field sales organization with outside sales reps all over the country, but there's no local management to build a relationship. And the owner is building a company decentralized from these different markets. And, they're trying to get reps to go out B2B and knock doors and create lead opportunities, right? So, and it's all commission. You got to take, right? These are kind of the opportunities that we typically help. Now, if the opportunity is better, that just means the sales recruiting job for us is easier, but that's just a side note. But in these kind of opportunities where from a candidate's perspective, to go back to that opportunity A and opportunity B example, when the opportunity maybe compared to the rest of the marketplace is not as attractive to most other opportunities, and you got to remember that there's unlimited opportunities for good salespeople, right? And also these top 10 percenters, they're usually happy making good money at another organization. When they're it's far few in between when they're looking for new opportunities, right? And when they are, again, they're demanding the highest, the most quality opportunities in the marketplace. So I got distracted. I think I was going to say something, but I'm going to move on because we don't have much time. But the point here is top 10 percenters, hard to predictably recruit into your organization, especially if your commission-based sales opportunities not as attractive. But this middle 30%, okay, which I call the average Joe, you can consistently recruit and retain the average Joe that produces quota and do that over and over and over and over again. And this average Joe topic is really nuancy, but to give you one of the many nuanced examples, let's say that you have a commission-based sales opportunity and you probably don't have a quota if you're like most of the clients that we onboard into our service, but let's say hypothetically you had a quota, okay? And your quota resulted into $78K in income, bare minimum income on your commission-based sales opportunity per year, OTE, on tracked earnings. Okay, let's say it's $78K per year, and let's say that was $1,500 a week. Okay, well, $78K is the minimum, but probably the upper end of the opportunity is double that, like $150K, right? An example of an average Joe would be maybe somebody that made 50 to 60, 75, and we're pitching them into an opportunity where they can make a minimum of 78K and up to maybe 150 or 200, along with being a part of a better culture, better industry, a company that's growing, which is going to allow for better career advancement opportunities in their future, and so on and so on and so forth. Whatever, the typical stuff that's in your recruiting presentation, right? The average Joe, as an example, one of many examples, would be somebody that maybe made less income than your opportunity provides, and we're pitching them about a better income opportunity and X, Y, and Z that's going to be better than anything that they've experienced historically, right? Well, that average Joe maybe comes on board, and although on paper they were not perfect, they came on board, they showed up, they did the work during onboarding, they ramped up into the role, they did the sales activities, they started making money, they showed up with a good attitude, they were not flaky, they did the work, and although they just maintained quota, they still showed up and produced, and you liked working with them. Well, if we take that average Joe example, if you were able to do that over and over and over and over and over again, just because they're not top 10 percenters, every single one of them, who freaking cares? If I can predictably get 5 to 10 average Joes in the next 90 days, as an example, and all of them are producing quota, then that's going to be an amazing thing for my business. Okay. So I'm going a little bit too long, so I'm going to kind of keep going through this. Okay. Let me give you 3 examples. Okay. And when I go through these examples, it's just to illustrate this average Joe thing, because I've seen for years small business owners have a picture in their mind of the kind of candidate that they need to onboard into their company, and they totally misunderstand how good their opportunity is, how attractive their opportunity is, while also misunderstanding the actual type of person that can come in, the average Joe, and actually see success in the position. And this is super important that you understand this today, because if you miss this piece, then you're really missing the type of opportunities with recruits that can bring you money. Okay. Now these three examples, they're kind of on the broad end of the average Joe spectrum or whatever, right? And so these three examples are people that actually don't have sales experience. Now, in the sales recruiting process, we recruit over 1,000 commission-based sales reps every single month. 80+% of those are people that have some type of sales experience in the past. These three examples of average Joes don't have sales experience, and they ended up being top reps at these three different types of sales opportunities and companies. And the reason I'm going to explain this, so you maybe open up your eyes a little bit in terms of the type of candidate that you can bring on board and retain. Okay. So the first one is a B2B software company recently, B2B software company. Okay. So they took our leadership around not being too picky in terms of a resume background, and they hired based on specific culture fit, DISC personality assessment tool that we'll talk about, and a candidate scorecard tool that we'll talk about as well. And they kind of, instead of making assumptions on the candidate's background, they got a little bit more objective with these tools that we implement in the hiring process. And they hired somebody that actually was like in their 30s. And the guy was like at UPS for the last 7 years. And again, when you hear this, I'm not saying this is the only type of person that you should be hiring. I'm saying like you may be missing out on recruiting opportunities. And if your opportunity is actually not attractive, then you trying to get recruits like me, as an example, may be outside of reality. Hopefully this is clear. But anyways, this B2B software company, it was actually a 1099 field sales opportunity in California, or at least that's where they started growing the organization like 3 to 4 months ago. And they actually, unorthodox to what they've done before, they hired a guy that actually worked at UPS for the last 7 years. But he came in, loved the product, loved the service, loved the leadership, was really excited, seemed to align with the values of the company. He passed his DISC assessment, personality assessment tool that I'll talk about in a second. And he also passed the candidate scorecard tool that I'll talk about in a second. And our client said, hey, because they passed A, B, and C, we're going to hire them. Anyways, this UPS guy that has never done sales before, he's actually the hardest worker at the company. And they have about a sales team of 30 sales reps now. And the guy with the least amount of sales experience at the company is actually the hardest working rep at the company. Now, he's working towards being the top producer, but anyways, he's above average. He's producing well over quota, and he's showing up every single day with the attitude, producing and doing the work. Okay, so that's a quick example. Another example is a door-to-door roofing company that we onboarded probably like 6 to 8 months ago. So we help a bunch of roofing and solar companies to all sorts of industries, but those are really common. D2D roofing company. This company had about 15 reps before they joined us. And they were super picky in their hiring process. In their first round of recruiting, they hired 4 reps. 1 fell off. 2 of them were sales experience, had really specific sales experience, like outside sales experience that was somewhat similar to the roofing sales job. And the other person, which was really unique compared to any type of person that they've hired in the past, was actually another guy in his mid-30s. He was a college professor. He had been a professor for like roughly a decade. No sales experience, amazing attitude, had all those attributes, and went through the same process that I just talked about with the B2B software company. And they hired him, and in month 2, he produced 100K in revenue, and he moved up to being their top guy immediately. And now their team is roughly about 20. The college guy that has probably the least amount of, the college professor guy that has the least amount of sales experience on their team ended up being their top producer within just like 2 to 3 months of joining the organization. Now, before, that company would never hire somebody like that because they don't have a very specific sales experience on their background, okay? But when we have a commission-based sales opportunity, if we are not providing training pay and lead opportunities, hitting the calendar, and it's just like the very top level type of commission-based sales opportunity, then we need to maybe be open to a different type of candidate. That is primarily my point in this portion of the training. Another example internally within our sales team, and we'll move on, a 19-year-old kid, Quincy, or I think he's 19 or 20, Quincy, appointment setter. He came through a recruiting process, little, champion, all ripped up, sports guy, really excited, good energy, good attitude, and kind of hit all those benchmarks as well. But he just came out of high school and he had one job from high school, and he was a medical tech at a hospital, never had done sales before, but he hit all the other requirements. And we were just hiring into this entry-level sales position. So we were really open to, that type of person too. He didn't even have much work experience. And he's our top setter at the company, right? I don't even think he's missed a day of work in the last year and a half, 100 calls every single day, produces appointments every single day. He's awesome. He's consistent. He produces. He loves his job. He's got a good attitude, and he brings in revenue to the company. Now, the reason I give you those examples is most small business owners, when they think about building a sales team, they would look at the background of those candidates, okay? And they'd go, no, not worth my time, okay? Well, with these companies, these people have brought in millions of revenue, okay? That's my point here. So you don't want to judge a book by its cover, especially when you have a commission-based opportunity, which may not be that attractive compared to other opportunities in the marketplace, the whole opportunity A and B thing, okay? So hopefully this is clear. Now, man, I'm going really long. Okay, I don't know how much time you guys have today. I'll probably go for like 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes. But anyways, hopefully you guys are getting some value today. I know some of you will have to jump off in about 20 minutes. So DISC assessment and candidate scorecard, just to go through that real quick. When clients work with us, we give them unlimited DISC assessments. So they don't have to pay like $50 for every DISC assessment. We just invest to give unlimited access to that thing. But DISC assessment, if you're not familiar with it, it's just a personality assessment. It's one of the top 2 personality assessments. And there's certain DISC behavioral styles that determine if most likely this person is a decent sales candidate. It's not a perfect science, but it's a tool that can help you screen people in the recruiting process and maybe understand if this kid that was a medical tech or the college professor or the guy that worked at UPS, if they could potentially see success in sales, right? So there's these cool objective things that you can implement into your recruiting process that can help screen out people that maybe don't have that perfect background, right? So it's not letting everybody work with you, but it's not being too strict on the background and just utilizing some additional systems like the DISC assessment to help screen in the recruiting process. So our clients, what they do is they use the DISC assessment and they use a candidate scorecard. You can use a candidate scorecard literally tomorrow. Really simple. When our clients get off one-on-one interviews with candidates, they have a candidate scorecard, and really you're just rating the candidate based on their skill set and if they're a culture fit, right? So skill set 1 to 5, right? So they have like a little document, and you could just create your own. It's because it's really simple, or you can just use like a yellow notepad or whatever. But say you get off an interview with me, Ryan Homan, you want to write down notes immediately because I'm at top of mind. Well, at the end of the one-on-one interview, what our clients do, and they go, hey, awesome meeting you today. We got a bunch of other people to meet that are interested in moving forward, and we're only going to be hiring 2 people to start this coming Monday, but it looks like you're ready to rock and roll. You're excited about moving forward. Okay, great. Here's what I want you to do by the end of the day at the latest. If you're really looking to be considered for the opportunity. And we're going to reach out to everybody by the end of the day tomorrow to talk about next steps, whether it's a job offer or if we hit our hiring cap or whatever. But here's what I want you to do, Ryan. I'm going to drop a DISC personality assessment in the Zoom chat box, or if it's a face-to-face interview, I'm going to text this to you right now. What I want you to do is I want you to complete this. It'll only take you 10 to 15 minutes. Complete it, send it back to me if you're really interested in moving forward and starting Monday like you just said that you are, right? And then the candidate, they actually have to step away from the one-on-one interview and outside of them just verbally saying that they're interested in wanting to move forward, they got to do that additional step. And this is after they've gone through the entire recruiting process that I'm going to go through right now, the screening process leading up to the one-on-one. They have to complete the DISC assessment, send it back to you, okay? And that shows that they actually are interested. But that DISC assessment, they need to hit certain profiles for them to be considered for the opportunity. But to go back to the candidate scorecard, I know we're going really quick, guys. Sorry. Hopefully this is clear. To go back to the candidate scorecard, you get off your one-on-one interview, hypothetically with me. Now I got my steps to get the DISC assessment done, but you get off your one-on-one with me, and it's top of mind, and you do your candidate scorecard. And really, you're putting down notes, and you're rating from 1 to 5 my skill sets from your perspective in the interview, as well as how much of a culture fit I am based on your interview. And you rate me from 1 to 5, right? So Ryan Homan's skill set notes, blah, 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 blah. 1 to 5. I'm going to rate Ryan 4 out of 5. Culture fit notes, blah, 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 blah notes, 5 out of 5 for culture fit. And then you total it from 1 to 10. Well, if it was 4 on skill sets, 5 on culture fit, that would be 9 out of 10. And pretty much you get the candidate scorecard back. And if they're specific DISC behavioral styles, and if the candidate scorecard that you rated them 1 to 5, total 10, if they were at least 7 or more, if you have the DISC assessment profiles and the candidate scorecard is at least 7 and those things overlap, then it's worth a hire. That's how these clients chose these specific recruits and how we chose that 19, 20-year-old setter internally before bringing them on board, although he was just a medical tech. Now, for that young of a guy or person, they're going to typically only be suited for like an entry-level setter role, whether that's canvassing, knocking doors, or remote B2B, or a call center B2B, calling. But hopefully this is making sense. That's the way that you can better understand who the average Joes are in the marketplace, is by candidate scorecards, personality assessments, and screening a lot on the front end, which is what I think we're going to get to here in just a couple minutes. Okay. And I'm not sure if my goal was to find a way to have assistance commission-based. Unfortunately, 2 appointments failed to be answered when the appointments. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but maybe we can come back to that at the end of the training. Okay, so you said assistants. I imagine that you mean appointment setters. But anyways, so where are we at here? What's cool about this is those average Joe examples that I gave, right? They were average Joes on paper, but immediately they actually turned into top 10% sales reps on the team, right? But most companies would judge the average Joe. And again, to be clear, in this average Joe, there are salespeople that are experienced. Like I told you, out of the 1,000+ commission-based sales reps that we hire, 80% of them all have some type of sales experience. But the other 20%, there's a million stories like these guys and gals. Okay. And so what's cool about these type of people is the middle average Joe, they can actually turn into top 10%ers with the right opportunity, just like those 3 examples that I gave you. And also the average Joes, they can transition into leadership later, right? So as an example, maybe this roofing company, the college professor guy that's been crushing it, well, he's been teaching, kids for 10 years, right? So he knows how to train, he knows how to communicate. Well, maybe he's a great candidate potentially in the future. I don't know what their company's going to do with him, but maybe he's an example person that knows how to lead people, manage people, train people, because he's been doing it in a college atmosphere for 10 years. And he also knows how to sell and show up and do the work, which he's done in the sales role. And maybe he's an example of a person we can transition into, sales training or sales management. Okay. So the middle average Joes, they can turn into top 10%ers and even sales leadership, which is really cool. Again, if the average Joe will come on and produce quota, and I can find that person over and over and over and over again, that is not a bad thing. Okay. The other piece too is being able to onboard the average Joe. And that's what we're going to talk about here in a second as well, and automating a lot of that, which is going to be really cool for you guys. But you need the volume. You need to invest the time to screening the volume. You need to be open maybe to a different type of candidate, this whole kind of topic I've been going through over the last 20 to 30 minutes. And also you actually need to be good at selling your opportunity, right? Like my energy right now, am I convicted on what I'm saying? Yes, I am, right? You got to be good at selling your opportunity. Our company, the culture, the industry, the plans for growth in the future, the career path, the sales model, the income opportunities, the income ranges, all of that stuff has to be presented to every candidate coming through your recruiting process to see who's actually interested in your commission-based sales opportunity. And you need to be good at doing it. Just like there's top sales reps, better sales reps close more deals. You need to be able to do that from a recruiting perspective as well. You need to be able to sell your opportunity, especially when it's more unattractive compared to the most opportunities in the marketplace, right? The only way to make up for this opportunity A and B thing, like I was talking about earlier, well, first, maybe we need to be in reality and understand we're not going to get the top 10%ers. But what's cool about the opportunity B is most of your competitors, most of 99% of small businesses in the US or wherever you're at, they all suck at recruiting. And so you can make up for a lot, even if your opportunity is not very attractive, by being great at the recruiting process, getting the volume, screening through the volume, selling your opportunity, getting them to say, yes, I get it. I get the long-term path. although it's not that attractive in the first 30, 60, 90 days, I get that the industry, the vision, the career path, the income model, all of that stuff is good enough for me to want to take next steps in the hiring process. Then we close them in the one-on-one. Okay, so my main point there is you got to be good at selling the opportunity as well. Okay, so let's talk about the recruiting process and then move on to new hire training. And so we're tracking for about 90 minutes. We're tracking for 90 minutes, okay? Going quick, need some water. Let me ask, is this helpful for anybody? Is this making sense? Is it too much? Are we going through too much detail? Let me know if this is helpful or if it's too nuancy. Keep me posted, and we can handle some Q&A at the end as well, okay? Okay, so the actual recruiting process. So ads, presentation, screening, scheduling, one-on-one. Ads, we need the volume of recruiting leads. Presentation, we need to present our opportunity to everybody coming through the recruiting process. Screening, if they're interested after the presentation, we actually need to take them through a screening process to make sure they're worth your time for a one-on-one interview. If they make it through the screening process, we need to schedule them within 1 to 2 business days on a one-on-one interview, because just like a sales process, we want to close these leads up quickly. But from a recruiting perspective, and you schedule that quickly, and then if you get them in a one-on-one, you need to close them up, okay? So advertisements, it's all about volume at the top of the funnel. Again, you need 100 applications to get 1 recruit into onboarding. So you need the volume. If I want to recruit 10 reps over the next 30 days, I'm probably going to need 1,000 applications. At very best, I'll need 500, right? So you need 50 to 100 applications to get 1 recruit into onboarding. Most companies are on the 100 end, okay? So advertisements, it's all about volume at the top of the funnel. Recruiting presentation, okay? Again, we're not making assumptions based on everybody's background. We're giving everybody a shot. And as long as we're not wasting time in the recruiting process, that's okay. And so the candidates, everybody that's coming through the recruiting process, they're getting pitched on the A to Z opportunity. All those things I've been talking about. And this can happen in about a 10-minute presentation. The culture, the industry, the career path, all of those things are getting sold to them at scale. We're figuring out if they're interested or not, okay? Now, the way that we do this now is I was referring to a new recruiting process that we're rolling out, and this is brand new. By the way, our clients, and still a lot of clients moving forward, it's going to take us like 3 to 6 months to fully transition to be able to do this for like all clients and new clients coming on board to our service. But historically, we would build out this process of ads, the presentation, the screening and scheduling process, the one-on-one process, and we'd build that out for a client, and we'd train them on the presentation piece, the application screening and one-on-one interview scheduling piece, and we would just pretty much manage their ads and push people into the presentation, and they would have to do the presentation live. Well, what we're rolling out we're kind of in the middle of rolling it out right now. Our new service for a small percentage of people until we have a big enough team to be able to do this for every client, because it is a lot of work. We're building out the same process, but our clients are only going to have to worry about one-on-one interviews, and we're managing the ads. We're presenting the opportunity to 100% of candidates coming through the recruiting process. If they're interested, we're taking them through a screening and scheduling process. We're scheduling the one-on-one on the behalf of the client, and the client's just closing them up in a one-on-one interview, okay? But to go back to the process ads, high volumes of candidate leads at the top of the recruiting funnel, recruiting presentation, pitching the opportunity. This can be a 10-minute presentation, all those things I've been talking about. If they're excited, you take them through a screening process. We do this in the form. We just use a form, first and last name, email address, cell phone number. What were 1 to 3 things that intrigued you about the presentation? Why do you feel you'd succeed in a fully commission-based sales position? What's your most relevant working experience to the opportunities presented today? What have you done over the last 12 months to improve your sales ability? So questions based around the opportunity and general questions as well. And they fill out that application, and based on how they filled out that application, we determine if they're worth, or you would determine if you ran this process inside of your business, if they're worth your time scheduling for a one-on-one. And then you schedule them on a one-on-one. You need to get that, ideally, that one-on-one done today, tomorrow, or worst case, 2 days later. because the longer that you push out your one-on-ones, especially in a commission-based sales opportunity, the higher your attrition rate is, or the higher your show-up rate, or lower your show-up rate will be into the future for your one-on-one interviews. And then you need to close them in your one-on-one interview. Now, for your one-on-ones, those are going to be 30 to 60 minutes, depending on your opportunity. Entry level can be shorter, and there's a lot of nuances there, but it's typically going to be 30 to 60 minutes, and you guys can figure that out later. But to recap a little bit on the recruiting process: ads, present to everybody, screen them if they're interested, schedule the one-on-one, close them in the one-on-one, okay? If you want to, we're halfway through the training, but I'm going to drop this because we're almost at top of hour. If you want to connect with our team, okay, we can eliminate 90% of the recruiting work for you. We'll build out the process within a couple of weeks, launch it, and all you need to do is one-on-one interviews, and we'll also help you build out your new hire training university, okay, which is what I'm going to talk about for the second half of the training. So right now, for a few people, we're doing this. We're going to sign up, as many people into this process by next Friday as possible. And kind of the deal is, and you may be familiar with our service already, but the deal right now is instead of clients doing the presentation and all the stuff that happens pre-one-on-one interview, our team is going to do everything on the front end. So clients will only have to do one-on-one interviews by next week. For clients that move forward by Friday next week as well, we're giving them a free month of recruiting, which is huge, helping them build out their new hire training universities, which is all the stuff I'm going to talk about right now, which automates all of your new hire training, and then unlimited consultation around things like compensation, onboarding, training, and management, and more, okay? So anyways, if you want to connect with our team, you can schedule a call, and we'll just build out and launch this process for you, and all you need to do is do one-on-ones. We'll manage your ads, we'll present your opportunity, we'll screen them, we'll schedule your one-on-ones, and you just close, and we'll even teach you how to do that, plus all these other additional benefits of a free month of recruiting, building out your new hire training, and more. Okay, so anyways, there's a link to schedule a call. I think it popped up, and we will go ahead and go to the next page, okay? And again, I'm going to drop this document for you guys at the end of the training, and I think it'll be available as a PDF. So this is huge, okay? There's a good amount of work to do here, but once this is done, this is the game changer. We've been helping clients do this for about a year now. We've built a whole media and new hire training development team just to kind of help clients with this. And more and more clients are launching this, automating their new hire training, and it's made our service way, way, way better. Okay, I've been doing this for over a decade. I've been trying to master the process. How do I take the small business owner, help them build up a commission-based sales team? The small business owner is limited on time. Their processes are not great yet. They don't have a bunch of proof. Their brand isn't there. There's not a ton of successful reps in their organization yet. So the belief system from candidates is not high. How do I take the hardest situation and make it as easy as possible for the small business owner to build a commission-based sales team? This right here, on top of the recruiting, obviously, you need to invest the time into the recruiting. You need to recruit the volume, considering your attrition rates. That's required. But in terms of the retention success of your reps and the time investment into onboarding, this is what makes it way, way easier, 5 times easier, 10 times easier. Okay, this is the game changer. And so this is about developing your new hire training university. Okay, so automate everything informationally around your new hire onboarding process, okay? To give you a recent client example, we had this company, and you can kind of name your university whatever you want, but as an example, we had a small business client out in Chicago recently, Dynamo Surfaces. They do wholesaling to contractors or something like that. I don't even know all the details, but anyways, Dynamo Surfaces, their university ended up being called Dynamo University, right? So your university would be something like that, right? If you have ABC Company, it's going to be ABC Company University, right? But anyways, this Dynamo Surfaces company, they launched the recruiting process. They launched Dynamo University. They had 0 sales reps, zero sales process, 0 new hire training, 0 recruiting. And within about 30 days, we got all this stuff built, launched it. And within 2 weeks of recruiting, they signed 11 sales reps, okay? They pumped all 11 sales reps into Dynamo University, which is, 10 to 15 hours of new hire training. I'm going to go through the details here in a second. Out of the 11 people, 2 of them opted themselves out of the hiring process, and 9 of the people completed the university before Monday. Okay. And this onboarding class was a few weeks ago. And out of the 9, there's still 8 active commission-based sales reps in a B2B sales opportunity that is about a 3 to 6 month ramp-up timeline. The income opportunity is not good at all in the first 90 days. Amazing owner, amazing company, amazing product, but the commission-based sales opportunity is like one of the most difficult opportunities to ramp up into, therefore making it really difficult to build a sales team. And so this company, who is more of like a technical founder, not like a high-level sales leader, sales guy, he was able to build out his new hire training, launch recruiting, sign 11 reps, get 9 of them through their Dynamo University before they started. 2 of them opted out, which is great because they didn't show up to Monday and waste anybody's time. And 8 of the reps are still active. And within a month, his whole freaking business is different. Okay. And all of that, the retention piece of, the 9 onboarding on Monday, primarily is happening because of the university, right? The time investment required to onboard sales reps, if you're doing it correctly, is a lot. And so the goal for every company, even for the large, the big boys, but especially for the small business owner who doesn't have the full-time sales trainer or the full-time director of onboarding or whatever, that person needs to automate everything and, automate as much as possible in their new hire training so that they can actually get success with reps onboarding into their company, if that makes sense. So that's an example, but in a new hire training program, a new hire training program, there's typically going to be like, at least from our perspective, 8 topics that you train on within your new hire training, whether you do it live or it's in the new hire training university, which is what I'm trying to suggest to you guys right now. Okay. Those 8 topics are things like reviewing, going through the onboarding overview, like actually a module that teaches reps exactly what they're going to experience in the first 30 to 90 days as they ramp up into the position, right? So literally a whole training based around the actual rep training program. But onboarding overview, company overview, how to set appointments, how to close appointments, which is like the sales process aspect of those sales functions, sales technology, your offer, your products and services, your customer profiles, which are the type of customers that you sell to, career advancement. Those are typically like the 8 topics that we include into our clients' new hire training universities, although it's custom depending on their actual sales model. So as an example, I'm not going to have setting training in there if I'm only hiring for a closing position. I'm not going to have closing training in there if I'm just hiring entry-level canvassers or setters on the phone, because why would I train them on closing if they don't need to be trained on closing, right? And so anyways, the ideal situation when you're building out your new hire training is that you can transition this to the form of a new hire training university, automating like 10 to 15 hours of training. And then you get the benefits of being able to train, get reps to train on their downtime without you actually putting the time investment into the training process. Okay. So the universities that we typically see, they're usually like 10 to 15 hours in length once they're done. Shorter if it's more entry level, the longer if they're more senior level opportunities and they're more technical. But on average, we see they're like 10, 12, 15 hours, right? So Dynamo University is like 12 hours of training. Okay. But if you can imagine, right, in that example, and the reason why I gave it, recruited 11 reps. And for most small business owners, that's too much volume of recruiting. Like that may sound overwhelming to some of you. So whether you want to recruit 2 reps or 20 reps, it doesn't matter. But the idea is, in that case, he had his university created. He signed 11 reps. He told them all to get through the university before they started on Monday. Okay. And before they came in to Monday, 2 had opted out of the process. 9 went through the entire university, showed up. They had already been through 10 to 15 hours of training before the owner, who has no sales leader yet, before the owner even invested any time into them, into live onboarding or any live management. They had already been fully trained into the position based on the university. And on top of that, which is really cool, the way that we set it up for clients, and you can do this yourself too. We'll talk about the resources if you want to do this yourself here in a second. But what's cool as well is if you had a university, reps would go through it before onboarding, but also what we help clients set up is we set it up as a requirement within their sales department. Reps have to go through it 1 time per week for the first 4 weeks. So they go through it 4 more times in month 1. And to recap, what that means is I onboard as a rep to your organization. I go through the online training before Monday, and that maybe screens me out because I go, oh, I've been through the training. I don't want to do this anymore, right? So that protects you or your sales leader's time. But then I show up to Monday, and part of the onboarding requirements in the first 4 weeks is I need to go through that same university over and over and over again, 1 time per week for the first 4 weeks, meaning I went through the university on my downtime without your time investment 5 times, once pre-onboarding and 4 times in the first 4 weeks, okay? What's good too, right? The 11 that got, or the 2 that cycled out in that example that I've given a couple times, right? When you have a bunch of reps show up into onboarding on Monday as an example, and let's say you hire 5 and 4 quit within 1 week, that really looks bad, okay? And so you want to eliminate as much attrition in new hire onboarding as possible. And we've realized this university piece allows that to happen, or the majority of it to happen, before reps even show up on Monday, right? So in that example, again, 11 signed, 2 opted out, 9 showed, and only one has cycled out so far in the first few weeks. Now that's a recent example, but you should be able to get the picture of what I'm kind of laying down. Now let's say that you had a 10 to 15 hour new hire training program, and reps went through it pre-onboarding, and then 4 times in the first 4 weeks as a part of their onboarding requirement. Well, all of a sudden you've automated 40, 60, 80 plus hours of new hire training without, again, you having to lift a finger, right? And the rep is learning about the company, setting appointments, closing appointments, your offers, products and services, the sales technology, your customer profiles, what they need to do to qualify to transition up into different sales opportunities later. They're going through that stuff over and over and over and over and over and over again, on top of actively doing the job on outside of that time when they onboard, like immediately in week 1. And it allows you to actually ramp up reps much more quickly. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. On top of saving the time, it's also a really good management tool, right? So let's say that you onboard 3 reps to start Monday. Well, for any company, whether you have full-time sales leadership or it's the owners managing that process, it is a big time investment, not just in the onboarding training, which you could automate, but it's also a big time investment for all the Q&A that happens for new recruits as they come on board, right? If I'm in my first 30, 60, 90 days with you, depending on how technical the role is, I'm going to have a lot of questions that come up over and over and over and over and over again. And if you're recruiting high volumes of people, which I understand not all of you want to do, well, that's a lot of back and forth that you need to do with reps, and it kills your time, okay? And so what's cool about the new hire training universities, you get the benefits of them training on their downtime, screening some out before they start on Monday, and then automating like 40 to 60, 80 hours of additional training in the first month. You also get that, but you also get to point reps back to your university when they have questions, right? So this owner of Dynamo University 3, these 9 people that started on Monday, they had everything in the university. And anytime they had a question, because he's a busy business owner, he's like, great question. That's in module 3, watch that. And let's pick up in the sales team meeting later in the week, right? And he's able to push them off to the university because they already have access to the answer. And we need to make sure that they know where to get the answers versus bogging down executive sales leadership. Now, eventually when Sri, in 3 to 6 months after he cycles in enough reps and we get him full-time sales leadership, that sales manager will be able to give more attention to each rep. But for the small business owner, you're only limited on time. And so the more that you can automate, the more that you can push off to online training, the better, okay? Also, when you organize your content, okay, and you actually put the time into developing your training program, well, if you put attention towards it and it's organized and they're getting content in the right way and you've improved your training, okay, on top of adding the benefit of more training, right? So if I've structured out my training and now it's a better training program, and also it's set up inside of a university and reps need to go through it pre-onboarding and 4 times in their first 4 weeks, which means they've gone through it 5 times in month 1, well, that better training and more training results into me increasing my retention rates, right? So we've seen clients' retention rates skyrocket literally by having their universities in place. It's because finally reps are getting trained correctly. They're getting the time investment, right? They're getting trained on everything correctly, and they continue to get through the content over and over and over again, which means they're retaining the information. If I onboard into your organization and you try to give me all the information about your company in 4 hours in the sales opportunity, there's no freaking way I can retain everything and actually see success in the position, okay? And we need a good training program. And the time investment on the front end needs to be developed into the training program. It needs to be transitioned into the form of a university so that you can get all the benefits that I'm talking about here. So that when recruiting is easy and you're pumping reps into the system, onboarding reps is easy as well. Okay. So we've seen the university piece increase clients' retention rates literally at least 2, and that's if they're an established organization with already having good onboarding processes. But we've seen retention rates go as high as 5x improvement, right? If you have a small business owner who has nothing in place, they're recruiting, they're doing all the live onboarding and training and management themselves. First 90 days compared to after that, after implementing the university, we've seen up to 4 or 5x increase in retention rates because it's better training, more training, and they're getting through it over and over again, right? So you're saving time, your retention rates are increasing, which means you're having more success with the people you're bringing on board, which means more revenue. And another big thing too is you're able to scale much more quickly. Okay, recruiting is a grind. Building a sales team is freaking difficult, especially when it's a commission-based sales team. Recruiting is a grind. It's volume-based. Onboarding is a grind. It's volume-based. It takes a lot of time. And for any business owner, and really any sales leader, even if you have a sales manager, which 80% of our new clients don't, when they come on board, we help them get that over about a 3 to 6 month period after the team is large enough. Even when you have a full-time sales leader and they're responsible for constantly recruiting and onboarding, training, and all this attrition that happens naturally in a commission-based sales opportunity, well, it makes the leadership job suck. And what's cool about the online university, when you have that in place, it doesn't make the onboarding aspect of building your team suck anymore, right? It's like, how do we make recruiting simple as possible? How do we make new hire training as simple as possible? So the core responsibility of the person in the sales management function, whether it's the owner or the sales manager, they're just doing their team meetings and their one-on-one meetings and some general trainings, right? And all the online onboarding training is left to the university, right? It makes you like your leadership job more if you have any context of onboarding reps in the past, okay? So because you're not getting burnt out from the recruiting and onboarding process, you're able to increase the volume of recruits because everybody's getting pushed through university so you can hire more people, right? Now, if you have training pay and leads and a salary and these kind of things, then you're limited on the amount of reps you can bring on board based on your budget, right? So if you have a couple $1,000 training pay monthly as an example, and you have a budget right now of $10K per month that you're going to invest into training pay, well, 2K divided by 10K, that's 5 reps. You're maxed out at 5 reps per year training budget, and you're not going to constantly onboard sales reps over and over. But for any company, whether they're trying to get 3 reps or 30 reps, the recruiting and onboarding piece is a grind. It makes you want to constantly stop the onboarding process because it sucks so much. And when this is in place, it makes it easy, and you can just continue to pump reps to the system and get your goals, get your growth goals way quicker. Okay, so this allows you to grow like 3, 4, 5x times faster because it's all automated. Okay, a couple more notes and we will wrap up with some Q&A. Couple more notes. Okay, I think we got through most of it. So here's kind of some of the resources that you would want to build your new hire training university. Okay, first is an LMS tool. Okay, so LMS, learning management system. I know some of you know what that is. We help our clients build theirs out on Thinkific. Okay, all of them are really similar. Our internal online training, like when we onboard clients to teach them how to do our 6-step final interview and these kind of things, we call it Sales Recruiting University Online. That's built on Thinkific, THINKIC or IFIC.com, Thinkific.com. They have a free version, and you can just build all your training materials within that for free, and you can have up to like 1,000 users or 100 users. And that's where we kind of help clients at because it's a free tech tool. Now there's a lot of them like that, but that's what we use. Either way, my point is the first resource that you'll need if you want to build out your new hire training university is you'll need an LMS tool. Like, where are we going to put the videos, the PowerPoints, the documents, the quizzes, all of that stuff? Where's that going? How are we going to track reps through this system? We use Thinkific. You can Google whatever's going to work best for you, but that's a free one, right? So you first need an LMS tool to build out everything. The next thing that you're going to need is your module training structure, right? That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, right? Ours was typically like 8 topics, for the average company, although sometimes there's 7 or 6 or sometimes even 9 or 10. So it's always custom. But, normal topics for the universities that we help create our onboarding overview, module 1, company overview, module 2, setting appointments, module 3, closing appointments, module 4. Within those, sometimes there's the sales tech training. If there's only one function within the sales job, maybe there's only one module on the sales process and one module on sales tech. But additional module would be your offer, or what you guys would think of as your products and services that you sell, your customer profiles. Your customer profiles are the different types of customers you sell to. I don't want to go too down the rabbit hole here, but you want to train reps more on who your customers are versus trying to make them technical experts at your products and services. So as an example, we help 3 different customer profiles: the solo business owner with no sales team, no leader, or the small business owner with no sales team or no leader, small business owner with a few sales reps with kind of an average sales team, no sales leader, and they want more sales reps and they need a sales leader. And then profile 3 for us is a larger company with sales leadership in place. They have everything and they're just coming to us to save time in the recruiting process, and they get more quality and more volume of recruits into the program, right? So those sales conversations are different for reps, and we train them on those 3 different types of customer profiles so that when they're talking on the phone with these type of customer profiles, they can understand who they're speaking to. And anyways, that supersedes your offer or your products and services training. And then it's also good to have a module around career advancement as well, right? So those are kind of like the 7 to 8 modules that we typically create. But either way, the second thing outside of the LMS tool that you would need is you would need your module training structure. All right, cool. So at a high level, how is our onboarding training going to be, right? It's going to be 6 modules or 7 modules or 12 modules or whatever. So you need to kind of outline what you want that to be. The third thing that you'll need to do is actually create all the content that goes within those modules, right? So if it's 8 modules, company overview, setting appointments, closing appointments, products and services, customer profiles, whatever it is, you need to build out the actual training content that's going to go inside of those modules so you know what to train on inside of the university, right? So you need the LMS tool. You need to decide on that. You need to outline which modules you want to train reps on, right? Your high level structure. Then you need to create the content within those structures. From there, you'll need the video trainings, okay? The easiest way to do this for most businesses in terms of producing video, because video can be really complex, is you just recruit reps into onboarding. You've already created your entire structure, your training materials. You record your videos live. So as an example, like I'm doing this right now, I'm training you, I'm recording this, I can use it for later. This is kind of the easiest way to record your videos, maybe via Zoom or in an office with a camera, whatever. But you recruit reps into a live onboarding program. You record your videos live, and then they're kind of the videos for your new hire university, okay? So you need to create the videos, which is the 4th thing. So LMS tool, your high-level structure of your university, all the training materials within the high-level structure or the modules. Then you need to create your videos. The 5th thing that you need to do is after you create the videos and upload them into the university, you need to create quizzes based around the content because you need reps to retain the information, right? So if losing my voice, if I'm training around our setting appointments process, I'm probably going to want to have like 5 to 10 Q&A type questions, ABCD answer type questions to ensure that reps have to pass that before they move on to maybe the closing appointments training. So I know that they're retaining the information, and I'm able to track that in the back of the university, right? And then the 6th general thing is you just need to understand how to take the videos, the quizzes, the materials, the PowerPoints, the documents, whatever materials you're going to have inside of the university, and just kind of get it all uploaded into the back end of the LMS platform, which we recommended Thinkific. I could care less what you use, but that's really easy to operate on the back end. I'm sure all of them are. That's the only one we're familiar with. But you need to take all of the information, upload it correctly into the back end of the platform per the university, and ultimately integrate it into your new hire onboarding process. So when you sign me up and I sign my independent contractor agreement or my W-2 all commission agreement, I sign it, and then you give me access to XYZ University. I get my welcome email, and all of a sudden I'm doing that on my downtime before I start Monday, right? So that's a quick overview of the resources that you would want if you were going to create your university. And again, we have all this stuff ready. This is all I've been doing for over a decade. And this university thing was added about, a year ago, and we've been slowly rolling it out. And so if you want to connect with us, eliminate 90% of the recruiting work, work with us to build out your new hire training university, and just freaking blow up your sales team, then you can schedule a call with us. I just dropped a link in the chat, I think. So that should show up. That should show up. Okay. And then also, yeah, so again, you can schedule a call there. And right now, what we're doing until the end of next Friday, as we roll out this new recruiting process, is clients, a handful of clients that move forward by the end of next Friday. Instead of having to worry about the presentation, the recruiting process, the next steps for them and scheduling their one-on-ones, they don't have to do any of that. They just need to do the one-on-one interviews, which makes recruiting really easy. And then also we're providing a free month of recruiting, which is cool. We'll help you build out your new hire training university, which is what I've been going through over the last 30 minutes. And then you'll get unlimited consultation with me and our executive team around things like compensation, onboarding management, and more. So if you want to connect with us, schedule a call. And then let me get these notes to you that I was talking about. Let me see how this works. How does this work? Oh, cool. There it is. I believe I just dropped it. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully you guys can see that. The PDF, maybe it's downloadable. I haven't done that within this platform before. Anthony, will you set up the LMS? Yep, we will. We will. What was the name of the LMS? Henry, let me type that in. www.thinkific.com. That's the one. So there's a free version, which is great. On the free version, I don't see the PDF. Sorry, Jill. Let me see. How do I make this the PDF? Why isn't it showing up? Sorry, it's a new platform. Maybe what I can do is, I got my Google document here. Let me just drop this link for you guys. Anyone with a link, copy link. I'm going to drop it into the chat real quick. Here you go, Jill. Anyone with the link? Okay, there you go. So that's just a link to the Google Doc. So you guys can grab access to that if you didn't see the PDF. Okay, I have to hop to run training for existing reps. I'd love to finish this. Can you send me the recording? Yep, we'll send a recording. This is helpful. I love the details. 100%. My goal was to find, okay. Asiru, greetings everyone. Peace and joy be with you. Love it. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Okay, guys. Well, I guess we can call it. Hopefully you guys got a ton of value from today. Let me actually, by the way, our content is getting a lot better on Sales Recruiting University YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, type in Sales Recruiting University, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get a bunch of free content there. You can check us out online, salesrecruitinguniversity.com. You can just search us as well. We have over 300 reviews, 200 plus written, 100 plus video testimonial on our Sales Recruiting University, where it's technically like 97, but it should be at 100 plus within the next month or so. If this rang true with you, if you want us to eliminate 90% of the recruiting process for you and just make all of this 10 times easier for you and literally shave several years off your learning curve, because I've gone through this with over 1,500 businesses in over a decade, then connect with us. So, okay, can you email me with the scheduling link? Yes. Okay. Okay. Jill, do you see that scheduling link that popped up? Carter, yes, I'm going to get the recording out. You guys got all the email invite to this, so I'll get a like the evergreen automated one sent out to you soon. I was a little late, unfortunately. There will be a recording. Sihan, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Absolutely, recording will come out maybe by Monday, but early next week at the latest, maybe today. So, okay, guys, I see somebody typing. I'm going to call it. So thank you for your time. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Hopefully you had a ton of value and hope to maybe be speaking with you soon. Thank you.